Scene opens on a warm, sunny day in North Las Vegas. 1990. The sound of birds chirping and distant sprinklers can be heard. North Las Vegas in 1990 was something else. Summers felt like they lasted a lifetime, especially at Granny's house. I was 11, rockin' a high-top fade that I thought was the coolest thing ever. My cousin Tony, who was 10, was always glued to my side. Tony had this big OL head, and he never, ever took off his number 32 jersey. He swore it was for good luck.
Then there was our younger cousin, Calvin.
At 9 years old, he lived and breathed two things: his BMX bike and video games. We were the three amigos of the neighborhood. Our days were a blur of running through sprinklers, trips to the corner store for candy, and endless hours trying to beat the next level on Calvin's video game console. Granny's house was our kingdom, the center of our universe. But that summer, Tony had something else on his mind. Something that made him more antsy than a new video game release. He was waiting for Patricia. Patricia was our neighbor. She was 17. And to us, little kids, she seemed like a movie star. She was from Hawaii and had this super warm, friendly vibe.
Every summer, she'd go back to visit her family. And every year, Tony would count down the days until she returned.
He'd sit on Granny's porch steps, staring at her empty driveway, just waiting. When's she coming back, Arnold? He'd ask me at least 10 times a day. Soon, Tony, soon, I'd say, trying to get him to focus on our game of tag. But he was zoned in. I can't wait, he'd mumble, a goofy grin spreading across his face. Now, you might be wondering why a 10-year-old was so obsessed with our 17-year-old neighbor's return. Well, it was simple. The hugs. Patricia gave the best hugs. She was tall, and when she'd see us, she'd crouch down and wrap us in this big, warm embrace that smelled like coconut lotion and sunshine. It was like getting a hug from a giant, friendly teddy bear. For Tony, it was the highlight of his year. He'd talk about it for weeks leading up to her return.
It's like getting hugged by a cloud. Man.
He'd say, his eyes wide with excitement. A really, really soft cloud. Calvin would just roll his eyes and go back to practicing his latest BMX trick on the sidewalk. He didn't get it, but I did. Patricia's hugs were just ... comforting. They made you feel safe and happy. Finally, the day arrived. A big station wagon with wooden panels pulled into the driveway next door. Tony shot up from the porch like he'd been launched from a cannon. She's back. She's back, he yelled, jumping up and down, and nearly tripping over his own feet. We watched as Patricia got out of the car. She looked even cooler than we remembered, with a flower tucked behind her ear. She saw us on the porch and her face lit up with a huge smile. Arnell, Tony, Calvin. I missed you guys! She walked over, and Tony was practically vibrating with anticipation. He was first in line, standing there with his arms wide open. Patricia laughed and gave him that signature hug. Tony's face just disappeared into her shoulder, and when he finally came up for air, he had the biggest, most satisfied smile I'd ever seen. It was like he had just won the championship, gotten all the candy in the world, and beaten the final boss all at once. He looked over at me and Calvin, and just gave us a big thumbs up. The cloud hug had landed. For the rest of the day, Tony was walking on air. He didn't even care that Calvin beat his high score in the video game later that afternoon. He'd gotten his hug. And for him, summer had officially begun. It's funny, the simple things that made us so happy back then. Thanks for watching, everyone! It means a lot that you'd hang out and listen to my story. If you enjoyed this little trip back in time, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more.
See you in the next one.